This roleplay is fictional. All people, places, and things have been fabricated. Hello, Stacy. How are you today?
I'm doing all right.
So I just wanted to touch base with you. Last time we met, we talked about one of the challenges that you were facing, and you had talked about wanting to learn a new language.
Yeah, I wanted to learn the language is called Amharic.
Wow, that's awesome. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, well, my dad is from Ethiopia, so it's his language. He was born in Ethiopia, and so it's his language. And it's something I kind of been wanting to do for a while, but I'm really kind of ready to talk about it right now.
Perfect. So, what kind of things are making you want to learn a new language now?
Well, my nephew is here, and I have a sister-in-law that came here a couple months ago, and they speak the language, and they are very limited on their English. So lately, it's kind of been tough for me just making conversation with them.
Yeah. Well, I can certainly understand how that might be a little difficult if you're not able to have that language there that causes a little bit of a barrier for both you and your nephew. Um, so, as far as things that kind of are prompting this change for you, it sounds like that is a big prompt for you, and a good motivator is to have that communication level. Does that sound correct?
Yes.
Perfect. So in the past, it sounds like too, like you kind of started learning some of the language, or at least wanted to, and then it had kind of been postponed a little bit. Is there anything that's worrying you about trying to take on that task of starting a new language?
Yeah, the fact is that I'm really busy lately, and so like I'm in school, and then I also work, and I'm also a parent. So I think that's kind of been a factor, is that the time to actually sit and commit to learning the language. I mean, it's something I've been wanting to do since I was like 7. I remember even getting books and CDs on it and things like that, but I haven't been able to, stick to it. And now I'm 34, and I'm like kind of beating myself up now.
Yeah, I can certainly understand that. So it sounds like you had attempted several times in the past and with different methods. What do you think was the main cause then? You mentioned time. Do you think it has always been a factor of just not having the time to sit down and fully commit to it?
Yeah, that's pretty much been the main factor, is the time. And I don't know, it might be like just me being unorganized too, like even if I have some downtime, just not being organized to kind of remember to do it, or to have like a structured schedule to do it, because I'm very much of a structured person. So like with my assignments for school and stuff for work, everything's very structured. So this is kind of like a freelance thing that I'm doing, where it's not like an assignment. There's no due date. There's, like school, I have due dates, work, I have due dates. And so this is just kind of something that, it's not like a grade. So it's hard to commit to it in a sense with the time. And then I guess the lack of structure rather.
Well, I think it's very good that you're able to identify that that lack of structure plays a big part in it. Can you think of a time, you mentioned school and work, can you mention a specific time where maybe you've used that structure to take over something that would normally be unstructured, so that it came out in a benefit for you and you were able to achieve that task?
Yeah, I did a diet and lost a lot of weight before. I guess during that time it was because it was like a crazy diet, but I was able to stick to it because I was in a wedding. So it was like I knew there was like a deadline. And so that wedding was coming up. And I guess that's what was kind of like motivating me.
Yeah. Well, it definitely sounds like a wedding is definitely a good motivator to have that
Yeah.
done. And hopefully, we can use a similar situation where we can use that motivation of your family and being able to break that barrier, that language barrier for them, so that you can all communicate effectively and help them with
Yeah.
their needs. So the fact that you're here and that we're able to talk about this right now shows that at least part of you is ready to make that change. What are some reasons that you see for making the change right now? So you mentioned the family, and kind of that being a language barrier, and this has been something that you've wanted to do since you were little. Um, so right now, um, are there any other reasons that you can think of other than your family and just that being a personal choice and wanting to learn that language?
Yeah, well, I actually want to, I graduate next year with my master's in social work. So I actually want to get a job like working for like the United Nations or maybe like the Ethiopian embassy. And I know that that would kind of set me apart and would be great if I learned the language, especially if I land a dream job, which I want to in Ethiopia. So then, of course, speaking the language, I think they speak English. It doesn't require it on some of the positions I look for, but I mean, it definitely would help me if I was in that country. And then if I go back and visit it, that would also help be a major benefit for me.
Definitely. Well, it sounds like you've definitely thought about some of the long-term benefits, furthering your career, helping your family, and then just your long-time life goal of not only learning the language, but then being able to apply it to your lifetime job. So right now, what makes you think that if you decided to make this change today, do you think you could do it?
You said, well, can you ask it again?
Yeah. So right now, if you decided to make a change today, do you think that's something you could do? So if we decided today that you wanted to start learning this new language, do you think that you are prepared and ready to start doing
Um, I would definitely say I'm not prepared. As far as being ready, I think I'm ready, but just being realistic, I don't know if I'm ready to commit to it or if I even have the time to kind of go in how I really want to, just be like really doing it a lot. I don't know, I may be able to like start small and just start maybe with some small steps.
that? Perfect. Well, I think achieving any goal, starting with baby steps and working our way up to a large goal is a great way of doing it. So you mentioned your readiness. You think that you're pretty ready. So on a scale of 0 being not at all ready and 10 being ready to do this today, as far as your readiness to learn a new language, where do you think you fall on that scale?
Probably like a 5.
Perfect. So what made you choose a 5 instead of, say, maybe like a 3 or a 2?
Just because like there's things that I've done in the past now that I'm talking about it that I think I probably could implement back. So I would say a 5 versus a 3 because there is like apps on my phone that I can download. And so I'm thinking maybe if I just start small, that might help me like maybe learn 1 or 2 words like per day or per week. Just talking about it, that makes me feel like, oh, I'm giving it more structure. Because the thing is, I just talking about it, I'm realizing I don't have, without that structure, it's just like, willy nilly, like it's hard for me to commit to it. Or just say, I could say all day what I want to do, but I need probably smaller tasks. Because like that's my goal. I need like to break it down.
Perfect. Well, I'm so happy that you're able to recognize that. And I think that you could really put that to use when you're talking about being prepared. So we said our readiness, we're kind of in the middle. We're ready. We're still a little nervous about doing it, which is
Yeah.
perfectly normal for anything that we do that's new. But going forward with our preparedness, you mentioned structure. So, and you also mentioned maybe learning a few words at a time as opposed to taking on the whole language at one time. Do you think maybe that would benefit you doing smaller steps like that and maybe trying to just reduce the amount of the language that you're learning at one time to make you more successful?
Yeah, I definitely think it will be. I don't know how it's going to look in the end, but I think me taking that first step and just committing to that would really help me.
Perfect. Do you think, so you mentioned in the past, like CDs and books, do you have the materials now that you would need in order to proceed with that goal?
I mean, I have some books. I think the issue was with the books of it, like learning how to pronounce them. So I think I think the main thing I would do is using my phone and re-downloading those apps because I had deleted them off my phone because I needed space. So if I download it again, then I have easy access to it and have it everywhere versus me. I definitely don't have the CDs. That was like a long time ago. Like I was a kid when somebody bought me the CDs.
I don't even know if people know what CDs are anymore.
I know, yeah.
Well, I think that's a terrific idea. You know, if you put something on your phone, then it's mobile and you could take it anywhere with you. So if
Yeah.
you had a few minutes of downtime, that would be a perfect opportunity to do that. And like you said, you can start off small, and it sounds like in the past, structure has really worked for you. So just exactly like you said, taking some time, maybe daily, or setting a goal for you every week about how many words you think you might be able to do. And I think that you can do it. I think that you would be
Yeah.
successful. What do you think would be an appropriate amount of words or appropriate amount of time a day to spend learning your new language?
I guess it just depends on what the words are, and if I'm familiar with the words. But I think maybe if I said like 2 words, maybe 2 to 3 words per week, I would say 3 words per week. I could start there and just commit to that until I'm done with school. And then once I'm done in school, I can go back and kind of evaluate where I'm at and pick it up like even more. But I just don't want to overwhelm myself.
Definitely. And I think that you made a great point with being overwhelmed. Often when someone gets overwhelmed, you know, it's easier to push it aside at that point. So I
Yeah.
think that you've identified you can be confident in selecting just that couple words, and you're still working towards your end goal of learning that new language. It might take a little bit longer, but this way you're going to stay confident and stay with that idea.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you've got a pretty good plan then. Do you think that you're ready to start making that change?
Yeah, I'm definitely ready to start with that. Just starting with my apps and my 3 words a week. I'm definitely ready.
Perfect. And do you think so now we've got, you know, the apps that you discussed, you've got books that you need. What about some additional supports? Do you have any family or friends that could also help or encourage that new language?
Yeah, my nephew, he's 3. I can just test it out on him and just kind of, I see him once a week. So I could probably test it out on him and just make sure I got the right words. And I probably could help him too, because he's learning English. So I guess I could try to learn, like, give and take. Like, I can repeat the word and I'm hard, and then he can repeat the word to me in English. So that way, that probably helped motivate me, because I'm like, okay, I have to teach him English too. So I would take it a little bit probably more seriously.
And you know, using your nephew, you might even be able to make a little bit of a game out of it so it doesn't seem necessarily like such
Yeah.
hard work. And you know, you're going to be motivating him as well to learn English. So I think that that's a great opportunity to strengthen that relationship on top of you both learning a new
Right.
language. Well, perfect. Well, I wanted to thank you so much for, you know, letting me be part of this challenge that you're facing in life. And it sounds like you've got a great plan for success. And I look forward to seeing you in the next couple months to see how that new language is going.
All right.
Is
Thank
there
you.
no problem? Is there anything else I can help you with today?
No, I think that's it for now.
Perfect. All right. All places, people, and things are fabricated. This role play was fictional.